You know the cool thing about being sick? You hear this voice? You hear it? Cool.
This is Mac OS Ken.
Much ado about a sales promotion. Apple's lobbying spend skyrockets, and 6 Academy Award nominations for Apple. It is Friday, the 23rd of January, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more in that your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. A story that starts with an ugh, but ends with a head scratcher. South China Morning Post ran a piece Thursday that had Apple slashing prices for Lunar New Year as competition heats up in mainland China. The piece has Ivan Lam, senior analyst at Counterpoint Research, indicating that Apple rolled out the promotions to counter declining monthly sales by capitalizing on the Lunar New Year shopping period. The post had the analyst pointing out that iPhone sales fell month-on-month in the December quarter. That's despite Apple winning the quarter with a 22% share of China's smartphone market. Part of me wonders whether Lam painted this as negative for Apple. Seems possible that South China Morning Post, which kind of jams on jamming up Apple when it can, might have used Lam's words for an angle. That's just me entertaining my suspicions, though. The thing that makes this story an ugh is the realization that this has happened every year for the past few. Business Insider ran a piece at the start of January 2025 that had Apple offering customers in China what the piece called a rare discount on its latest phones ahead of the Chinese New Year. Rare, unless you count them doing the same thing 1 year earlier. Middle of January 2024, Reuters ran a piece that had Apple offering what it called rare discounts on its iPhones in China, a time-limited promotion branded as a Lunar New Year event. And yes, both the Reuters report and the Business Insider piece talked about the tough times iPhone was said to be seeing in the Middle Kingdom. So there is the ugh. Wherefore the head scratching? For that we give props to William Gallagher over at Apple Insider, pointing out that Apple was offering discounts for Lunar New Year, as it does every year. He says they're doing so in profoundly limited quantities. Running a machine translation, Mr. Gallagher found Lunar New Year discounts on iPhone 16e, iPhone 16 Plus, iMac, Mac Mini, MacBook Pro models, iPads, Apple Watches, Apple Pencil Pro, AirPods 4, and AirPods Max. And yet, for a nation of about 1 billion people, Apple's discounts, according to Apple's site, are apparently limited to 850 iPhones, 3,840 iPads, 1,640 MacBook Pro models, 5,040 Apple Watches, 2,890 AirPods, and 890 Apple Pencil Pro units. Isn't 850 iPhones for one of Apple's largest markets practically no iPhones? It's conceivable that this is the stock available online, according to Mr. Gallagher, and that individual Apple stores have their own. But that's not clear. See? Ends as a head scratcher. We know when more ads are turning up in the App Store searches. A little over a month ago, Apple announced plans to pepper App Store search results with ads up and down the entries. Those will be in addition to the ad placed at the first returned result, the only ad among the results currently. While the company said last year that more ads would be starting next year, you can call that this year, they did not say when this next year that would happen. Now they have. 9 to 5 Mac says Apple has now confirmed that this will go into effect beginning the 3rd of March, starting in the UK and Japan, with a rollout across all Apple Ads markets by the end of that month. A weird story on Apple and lobbying from 9 to 5 Mac. Well, from Bloomberg and 9 to 5 Mac. According to Bloomberg, Big Tech spent $109 million lobbying DC in 2025. That was the first time the tech sector spent over $100 million lobbying in a given year, according to the report. Now the weird bit. Apple was not on Bloomberg's list of top 10 tech and AI spenders, though 9 to 5 Mac says it should have been. While Bloomberg did reference Apple's pledge to invest $600 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years, and the undisclosed sum Apple is contributing to the White House ballroom, they didn't have figures on Apple's lobbying spend. But 9 to 5 Mac did. Checking the U.S. Senate Lobbying Disclosure Act records, the site says Apple spent an even $10 million on federal lobbying in 2025. That is a 27.9% increase from 2024, according to the report, and marks the company's highest annual lobbying total on record. Had they been on Bloomberg's list, they'd have been in 4th place. That would have put the Cupertino company ahead of Microsoft and behind 3rd place Google, 2nd place Amazon, and 1st place Meta. It's unclear why Apple was not on Bloomberg's list. As for what they were spending on, the biggest through line was tied to App Store-related legislation. 9 to 5 Mac says that included weighing in on the App Store Accountability Act, the Open App Markets Act, and the App Store Freedom Act, all of which seek to impose new rules on how large app platforms operate and compete. Other topics tackled include AI and consumer protection, semiconductor manufacturing, trade and international competitiveness, health technologies, and immigration. Well, that was money spent. 2 big reports on Apple execs other than Tim Cook on Thursday. Bloomberg ran a report on Apple hardware head John Ternus. The Cupertino company has expanded his job, according to that report, solidifying his status as a leading contender to eventually succeed CEO Tim Cook. Secret people said to know stuff say Cook quietly tapped Ternus to manage the company's design teams at the end of last year. The piece says the gig, which includes overseeing both hardware and software design, has long been entrusted to a senior leader. That said, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman doesn't think a CEO shift is imminent. When Cook retires, he's expected to stick around as chairman of Apple's board of directors. Apple's planning to keep the current chairman, Art Levinson, for at least another year. With no vacancy in the big chair, Gurman doesn't expect Cook to vacate his office. The other executive profile was about the changes in direction for Apple's AI plans, since those have landed with software head Craig Federighi. Mac Rumors highlights a report from The Information that has Air Force One encouraging collaboration on the AI front. That said, some have reportedly expressed concern that Federighi does not like to spend if the outcome isn't certain. While Apple watchers have always assumed that the company's interest in private cloud compute and smaller models that run on-device was about user security, The Information thinks it was actually about money, with private cloud compute running on Apple Silicon. A lot of it feels like a rehash of stuff that we've heard over the past couple of years. It is interesting, though, to see Ternus and Federighi with notable profiles on the same day. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Clean My Mac, your solution for care and control of your Mac. Our Macs get loaded with a lot of files, a lot of installation remnants. Happens slowly, without us even noticing, even if we mean to keep an eye on it. Let Clean My Mac do that. It starts by cleaning your Mac, getting rid of unneeded system files, hidden clutter, broken downloads, junk. But it does more than just clean. Clean My Mac is a suite of tools meant to optimize performance, scan for threats and vulnerabilities, update the apps you use, and ditch the apps you don't. Clean My Mac gives you a clear view of what's happening on your Mac, what's taking up space, and tools to make it run better. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Make MacOSKen all caps in both cases. That way they know where you heard about it and you get the discount. Clean My Mac's been doing its thing since 2008. Let them do that for you. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Again, MacOSKen is all caps, both places. Use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. If you're going back to the Apple Store in Santa Rosa, California, it is not where you left it. A piece from Mac Rumors indicates that the store in the Santa Rosa Plaza shopping mall has moved. It has gone to the open-air Montgomery Village shopping plaza. The grand opening is at noon Pacific today. Want to hear something dumb? Then you should listen to Utah Senate Majority Leader Kirk Cullimore. Salt Lake City's KSL says the Republican state legislator has introduced a bill designating Android as the state's preferred mobile operating system. I am only telling you about this so you don't think I missed it. I'm not mad at this guy for choosing Android over iOS. I really don't care. I'm mad at this guy for being the head of a legislative body and wasting an entire state's time. They say no press is bad press. I personally disagree. And finally today, this year's poster child for the It's an Honor Just to Be Nominated award goes to F1 the Movie. Nominations for the 98th Annual Academy Awards were announced on Thursday, and Apple scored 6. A press release from the Cupertino Company listed them. They include 1 for The Lost Bus, Best Visual Effects, 1 for Come See Me in the Good Light, Best Documentary Feature Film, and 4 for F1, including Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, Best Editing, and Best Picture. The movie was fine. It was fun. It was not Best Picture. I'll confess I've only seen half of this year's Best Picture nominees, but of those 5, you're seriously going to put F1 up against one battle after another? Really? Marty Supreme? Hamnet, for crying out loud? By which I mean crying silently in your chair. That movie was a gut punch. I have no idea which film is going to win, but it cannot be F1. I mean, it wouldn't be quite as bad as the year The Greatest Show on Earth won, but it'd be close. F1 was enjoyable. They accomplished a lot, technically. It was nothing like Best Picture. Not that I have a strong opinion about it. The Academy Awards will be held on Sunday, the 15th of March. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, MacOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. I'm going to take my Barry White sounding self on out of here. Until next time, that is news from macOSKen. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.